Hey everyone, and welcome to the PHILLIP Show. Grab your coffee and we'll get started. Mine is super hot. I don't know what it is, but it's 100% hot. So listen, we're coming into the holidays. And what do we think of normally when we think of the holidays? We think of togetherness. A lot of us think of family, the warm fuzzies, the lights, the trees. I mean, if that's what you do, but something in the holidays is different than it is for the rest of the year, right? We all do something different, even if we don't believe in whatever the holidays are. We're bombarded with things for the holidays. But one of the things is, like I was saying, family. What is your family routine? Do you have a routine? And how did you come about, that? A lot of times when we're younger and we grow up, we all have different perspectives based on our experiences. And what do those experiences do as we move forward in life and we become adults? How do our experiences shape what we think, how we feel, what we choose to pursue, and how we interact with people? And can those experiences be an awesome launching pad for something amazing? Or are they things that we need to target and just kind of take a pause and say, hey, what happened here and how can we move forward? Specifically during a time when we're told that it's a togetherness time, right? Well, today we are joined by Joshua Miller, and he has a very unique story that he's going to share with us about family, what family means to him, and how he has his perspective that he has, and what's next for him. All right, so join me in welcoming Joshua.
Hey,
How's it
morning.
going?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I think I saw some coffee over there a minute ago. You got something over there?
Oh yeah. Still
Mm.
drinking coffee.
You said what?
Still drinking coffee.
Right. Oh my gosh. So the holidays are coming up. So before we get to you and your journey and your powerful story, what do you do during the holidays? What's the holidays look like for you?
It's usually pretty quiet. I do go and visit my mother. She's just
Uh-huh.
in Springfield.
Okay.
But I think this year my family and I are going to go out of town.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
You said you and your family are going out of town. So what's your family consist of? Who is that?
My wife and my stepson and my daughter.
Okay, awesome. So you have like a pretty substantial family there.
Yeah.
Nice. So you shared your story, and I think it's really powerful. Before we get into it, what prompted you to say, you know what, I think I'll share my story with people? Why did you do that?
Um, I think it's important because the word family a lot of times for most people just means blood. And for me, what happened to me in my life, it means something completely different to me.
Okay.
And family to me is not blood related. Most of the people that I consider family are not related to me. And I think that's very important. And that's one thing that I do teach my daughter. I mean, for instance, I work at Antioch College, and we just live like a block away. And my daughter was actually born at home, and it was during what we call here at Antioch reunion.
Hmm.
And that is where a whole bunch of alumni come to campus for about a week, and they help us maintenance staff do things, and they've all watched my daughter grow up. They've known my daughter since she was you know in my wife's belly.
Yeah.
And most of the guys on the maintenance crew, my daughter calls Uncle
Okay.
Chris, Uncle Bonnie, Uncle Don. And I think that really helps a younger person to be able to trust other people and to
Hmm.
be able to love other people unconditionally.
Yeah. So you looking at family the way that you do now, and you say it doesn't really have to be blood related. in your journey, how did you come from where you are to have that sort of as a focus and as a realization? What is your story when it comes to that?
My father called me on the phone when I was 5 and told me he was going to give me up and he didn't want anything to do with me ever again.
He called you on the phone at 5 years old.
Yeah.
And then what? I mean, what happened next? Okay, so he told you when you're 5, and then did somebody come get the phone? Like, who made the? What happened?
My mom by then was remarried, so her second husband kind of stepped in the picture and legally adopted me. So my name actually legally went from Joshua David Miller to Joshua David Rakoski.
And then from there, you said your father said that he was going to give you up. Was your father, were your father and your mother together at the time, or how was he going to give you up in apart from your mother?
He just didn't want any rights to me at all. And I don't think it was, child support or anything. Was
Sure.
his main reasoning was that he said that and this is what he said on the phone, was he never wanted to be a father. And that means that he was not good at it.
Okay.
So he thought it was in my best interest to give up all of his rights to me.
Okay. So then he stepped away. And at 5 years old, I don't know if you can answer this question, but I'm sure you can. How did that make you feel? Did it change your perspective on fatherhood, or was it confusing?
Yeah, it was all the above. Even at the beginning, my mom's second husband was, he was a good guy, and then things kind of turned for the worst. So I've never had, not never, but, then growing up, I didn't have a good father figure. It was always my mom,
Gotcha.
taught me pretty much everything.
Yeah, so your mom remarried and you continued to grow. I mean, you continued to grow up. What impact did your father have on your life after your mother ended up remarrying and you became adopted?
Nothing. I never really saw him, but oddly enough, his parents were always in my life.
Really?
Yeah, we would always go there on the weekends and a couple weeks during the summer, and there would be pictures all over their house of him, and we all. So I'm from Kent, Ohio.
Okay.
And we all lived basically in the same town. And I remember one Saturday, my grandparents and I were actually going to breakfast, and I look over and there was my father at the same intersection.
Really?
Yeah, and it was like, I just started bawling. I was probably like 9 or 10, and I didn't know how to take it,
Yeah.
It's somebody that helped make me, that didn't want anything to do with me, was there in the flesh.
Right. And it's not like he's distanced away. You still have, communication and interaction, and you still have family, but it's in the absence of him.
Right. Yeah.
That is interesting. So as you continued to grow, how did you maneuver past all of this? Because you were saying that when your mother remarried, it wasn't, all, bells and Tinseltown there either. So with all this, with all these obstacles, how was that navigating just from 5 to just growing up? Like, how did you find your way?
Well, my mother was always the rock, and will be forever grateful. As many things as she's gone through in her life, She has always been there for me. And I think that's one of the things that I'm extremely grateful for, to be able to have had a daughter. And, you know, I would be the last one to be able to carry on my name, but there's nothing better in this world to be able to be a girl dad.
Yeah. Yeah, my brother, he has two girls. And
Nice.
it is very funny. Did you have a lot of times when people have a challenging childhood, specifically when their father is involved, and there's something that their dad did that they weren't too I don't want to use the word proud, but they didn't like, right? They said there was an example that doesn't want to be mirrored. Did you have any apprehensions when you were deciding to go into to move forward with your family? Did you have any apprehensions to say, I don't want to be like this, or I'll never do this?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, both of my parents have been married 3 times.
Hmm.
And the fact that, you know, my father did give me up and, you know, give away all of his rights to me, is number one, I told myself I would never get married. And number two, I would never have kids.
Okay.
And here I am. And I think regardless of anything that were to happen to me in my life, I will always be in my daughter's life. I mean, she is the love of my life.
Yeah.
She was born on Father's Day.
Oh, well, hello, Hallmark. Yeah. I mean,
I know, right?
Well, that's very, that's super special.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, wow. So let's talk about your, do you have any structures that you put in place to identify areas that you just don't want to do as a father? The reason why I'm asking this is because I speak with a lot of people who, I don't want to say similar because everybody's story is unique, but there's something in their background that they spend so much time trying to not do. You know, there's like, I will never do this. I will never do this. When you started to say, okay, I never wanted to get married, but here I am. You know, like life goes its way, whether we have our precautions or not, which is beautiful most of the time. But do you have, like, I don't want to use the word strategy, but are you intentional to say, you know what, I'm going to invest this way because of this?
Yeah, because the abuse and the anger that I was accustomed to, and my mother's first 2 marriages, it is the anger that I try to avoid.
Okay.
You know, even in some therapy sessions, I was mistaken that the fact that maybe it was in my DNA, and they said, no, it's because I was around it so much. So that is one thing that I do try to avoid, is, you know, losing my temper, because that was very easy for my father to do.
Gotcha. So you're saying it wasn't in your DNA, it was more experiential. You experienced it, therefore you knew this was an optional way to behave.
Yeah.
You said that so you believe in therapy. Do you think therapy is important, and why?
Oh, I do. When I was a kid growing up, I had to go to therapy, court ordered, and you were kind of looked down upon. But nowadays, I'm so grateful of the fact that we have kind of changed as a culture, and we're able to look at somebody and say, "Oh, you're going to therapy. Oh, good for you. You are working on yourself. That's awesome." So instead of it looking at it as a negative, now it's a positive.
Yeah.
And I think that's very powerful.
Would you recommend therapy for just anyone? I know people go for specific reasons, but do you think therapy is something that people just need to do to make sure or to have precautionary measures met? Like, or does it have to be situational?
No, I think both. I mean, therapy nowadays is kind of a broad term. You
Yeah.
know, you're talking to somebody that you know quite well, or whether it's talking to a stranger,
Mm.
or whether it's meditation. So I think anything that you can do um, to change the course of negative behavior within your own mind, I
Yeah.
think is therapy. And one of the things for me is woodworking.
Okay.
It is the only time that I don't worry or stress, um, and I'm able to get, my mind clear,
Yeah.
regardless of if I'm working on something extremely complicated and I'm stressed about the project. I'm
Yeah.
still not worried about bills or, you
Hmm.
know, I had a fight with a loved one or anything like that. So that's my therapy.
Right. And you have like an entire business of woodworking, right?
Yeah, I do it on the side.
Come on, man. That's a
Um,
whole situation. What?
yeah, yeah. I do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a passion. A lot of people run or, you know, whatever their passions may be in life, and woodworking is definitely mine.
How have your experiences and your perspective shaped who you are and the perspective that you have for life and for family now?
Well, I'm able to, stand back and look at a bigger picture
Hmm.
and be able to see that, for instance, the fact that my father did do what he did, that was probably a way of him showing love. Because
Hmm.
maybe if he did stay in my life, maybe things would have been worse for me.
Mm.
And, I can't say it enough is that, the people that are not blood related to me, I that's my family, you
Yeah.
know. I mean, I have a neighbor who I've gotten to know over the past 10 years. He, that's my brother, I mean,
Yeah.
I love that man, more than, you know, many people that I know. And I think that's meaningful to be able to be there for somebody unconditionally. I can't say that word enough
Yeah.
is yeah, it's everything.
A lot of people, when they move past things in their past, such as you have, they still have, like, they're holding on to a lot of either regret or anger. Do you feel any of those now?
No, I do not. And some people close to me disagree with my way of thinking, but I'm glad and grateful that I actually went through what I went through in my life because I wouldn't be the person that I am, you know?
Hmm. Who are you?
Well, I'm, I feel like I'm a pretty compassionate person and I'm patient and I can see past people's faults and
Hmm.
really look at a human being when I don't actually agree with, the phrase, first impressions, because
Okay.
you don't know what someone's going through. You have no idea.
That's good. Yeah, you really don't. Everybody comes with an untold story or an unknown story, right?
Yeah.
Everybody comes, and however they interact with you, a lot of times is how they're translating all of their experiences to be able to even communicate or interact.
Yeah.
Christmas. Do you want to establish, or have you established, like, specific routines for your family? Like, this is our thing. This is the Miller's thing. This is what we do.
Yeah. We try to make things for each other instead of spending a bunch of money.
Now, is that cheap or sentimental?
Sentimental.
Okay.
I am not a big thing person. What I mean by that, I just don't like stuff.
Gotcha.
But I would rather get a gift that someone made instead of saying, hey, I need a pair of boots for Christmas. I'll buy the boots myself, or whatever the case may be. I would rather, make, like, for instance, it's a friend of mine. She's turning 30 today. I just made her a spoon.
I bet that spoon was awesome too.
Yeah. Well, I hope she likes it.
Yeah. So it's more about the care and the feelings and the thoughts of, giving, like, this is from my heart and it means something, versus here's $20 and I got you this trinket.
Yeah. Or here's a gift card. Go shopping for yourself, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, absolutely. This is a really, when you were saying that, I wonder, do you think, how do you think that relates to your childhood?
That's a good question. I think it just, because of what I went through, tangible things in my life were never meaningful. It was always sitting down and having a heart-to-heart conversation. My mom's Hungarian, and it's nothing to sit down and have a 3-hour meal. And by the time you leave my mom's house, you are not only full from nutrients, the food that you just ate, but your heart is full. And I mean, that holds true to this day.
Yeah.
So that's what, that's where my heart lies,
I think a lot of people, even listening to that, I think a lot of people desire, interactions like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very special and unique opportunity to have people in your life that also value connectivity and time spent and interactions over things. That's where the traditions are. That's where the heart gets full, like you said. That's where the care and everything comes in. And more than that, that somebody's invested in you, because time is one of the biggest investments that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah. For somebody who is listening to you, as they will be, and may hear some parallels in their background and in their story, what encouragement can you give them if they're trying to figure out how to move forward?
Don't ever blame yourself. Things happen for a reason. And I always say that there's always good and bad. And I know I'm redundant, but I'm always grateful that whether it's, emotionally or mentally, excuse me, or even, because of what I do for a living, when something breaks, I'm always grateful that I have to challenge myself and but I'm the type of person that can learn from that, and I will.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's a double-edged sword, because I will stay up at night and lose sleep thinking about it and how I could either correct it, whether it's, like I said, whether it's, I'm having an, emotional time, or, my truck broke down, or I'm trying to figure out, a complicated piece of furniture that I'm building. But I always figure it out in the end.
Yeah. If somebody were to remember you for one thing, what would you want that one thing to be?
Compassion.
Yeah. Joshua, thank you so much for sharing your heart and your family and your entire story and your story with us here.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely, and I hope you guys have an amazing holiday with a whole bunch of 3-hour conversations.
Yeah, well.
So that was Joshua Miller, and if nothing else, this is your takeaway. Connectivity and family is more than just the blood. It is the people that are around you. It is the investment that you make, that you receive, and the time that you spend with people is more valuable than anything that you could ever buy. So just remember that this season, when you're thinking about holiday, when you're thinking about your family, take some time out to connect, take some time out to spend time with them. And remember, you are the best you in the world. And we will see you next time here on The PHILLIP Show. Don't wait.